Now today on What Now, Alliance for Sahel States accused Nigeria of violating its airspace after a Nigerian military transport aircraft made an emergency landing in Burkina Faso. Plus, European leaders say now is a critical moment to ramp up support for Ukraine and put pressure on Russia to bring an end to the war as the U.S. revises its security strategy. We will be discussing these issues in just a moment. Hello and thank you for joining us. This is What Now. I am Precious Amayo. I will start in the West African region where tension between Nigeria and Burkina Faso after a Nigerian Air Force C-130 made a precautionary landing in Bobo Dioulasso has once again come to the front burner. Now, the Nigerian Air Force says the crew diverted because of a technical issue and were treated cordially on the ground. But Burkina Faso's military regime is telling a very different story. In a nationwide broadcast, it accused Nigeria of violating the AES airspace and confirmed it has detained 11 Nigerian Air Force personnel. Burkinabe authorities claim the aircraft flew into restricted airspace after its transponder went off, disappearing from regional radar, prompting their forces to order the landing and take custody of everyone on board. There are even warning that any unauthorized aircraft will be neutralized. The Nigerian Air Force is pushing back, insisting the landing was routine and done strictly for safety and handled professionally by local authorities. For more on the unfolding diplomatic back and forth, security expert Laris Raj joins me on the news, on the What Now rather. We also have international affairs correspondent Moyo Thomas also joining us. Moyo, I'm going to start with you and just want to get a background of the story for those who have not been following. Bring us up to speed and then give us the background of this.
Okay, so the background we have is the general information that is out because as at this moment, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is yet to say anything concerning the situation. They only said they are still monitoring it and they would speak when the time is right. So we're still waiting for information, the official information from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But then we know the reason why this would escalate or will become a big issue so soon because the AES as it is would want to support whatever, anywhere that military is taking over. And from the initial information that went round, they said the aircraft was heading to Benin, but the Air Force, Nigerian Air Force has come out to say that it was actually going to Portugal for routine checks, routine servicing, and not going to Benin Republic for solidarity or to ensure the sustained democracy in Benin. But AES, as we know, from the pain of the fact that the coup in Benin was foiled, in Benin Republic was foiled, we can imagine that this action would actually happen. But what is of importance right now, the concern right now, is the safety of the 11 personnel that are still detained and the aircraft.
And Moyo, just after the departure or withdrawal of the alliance from the alliance states from the ECOWAS, I know that the ECOWAS released certain guidelines in terms of movement, visa, and trade. I want to know if that, where we are in terms of that guidelines on how both bodies or both blocs would relate.
Okay, so as at this moment, the ECOWAS Mediation and Security Council, they are in closed-door meetings. They are annual meeting, actually, so it's not an extraordinary meeting. It's their normal annual meeting they're having, and I know this issue would also come up in discussion. Part of the discussion is as much as AES is no longer part of ECOWAS, there is still some working relations they have, and as of today, the ECOWAS president told us that they are still negotiating with them to return to ECOWAS. And I know in the fight for insecurity, terrorism, and all that, they're also working together. So whatever agreement they have right now, that is, though they are no more in ECOWAS, and I know the flight zone is also part of the discussion. There shouldn't Well, according to Burkina Faso, any aircraft from Nigeria is not supposed to fly over Burkina Faso because they are no longer in agreement. They are no longer in ECOWAS. But then the aircraft has said that it's an emergency landing, and by emergency landing, you do not need. There's no law that says you need to get approval before you land, since it's an emergency situation. So we hope that even though the ECOWAS and EAS situation is there, because they have a working understanding, we hope this working understanding would come to play in this, and then they would be able to come to an agreement, through diplomatic agreement.
And Moyo, just in a minute, because I want to get this quick update from you before we go to Larry Suraj. And if you can do this for us in a minute. You mentioned the meeting of the ECOWAS ministers, and we know that right now there is a declaration, is it, of emergency? And I wanted to, on security, I think it is on the West Africa, and I wanted to sort of speak to that quickly.
Sorry, can you come again with the question?
There's an update coming from the ECOWAS, the meeting of the ECOWAS ministers, and I wanted to get that update from you. It has to do with the security and something declaration of emergency. I wanted to give us an update on that quickly in like 30 seconds.
Yes. Yes, the ECOWAS Commissioner President says that as declared emergency in the security situation of West Africa and the constant change of government, it shows that they just need to put in more actions to ensure that ECOWAS stands for the democracy that it actually preaches around the world. We're waiting for them to end the meeting and come up with a communique so that we have more information on what the next steps will be. So by the end of today, we'll get a communique to know how the emergency situation will happen.
All right, thank you so much, Moyo Thomas, live for us in the nation's capital. All right, let's now get back to our guest, Larry Suraj, who is standing by for us. Larry, let me just get your thought on this back and forth between Nigeria and Burkina Faso, especially because statements from both countries is quite contradictory.
Yeah, I think it is actually very also difficult in this time for one to really get the understanding better from the Nigerian side of the divide. It is very important at this critical stage that the Nigerian government and the Air Force is not only just truthful to the people, but also proactive in terms of the information and the timing of the information for the need to enjoy the necessary needed popular support within the country and also within the sub-region. It is not in the interest of Nigeria and also the West Africa for now, coming from the recent experience and the role that Nigeria has played in the foiling of the attempted coup in Benin Republic, to have this kind of a situation coming from the Nigerian military is not the best of time to have this situation, even if it is true that this was due to technical fault or default with the aircraft belonging to the Nigerian Air Force. There should have been very clear approval and understanding with the Burkinabe government before that landing could have happened. And in the situation where you have that, the Nigerian government should have used all possible diplomatic measure to reach out to the government of Burkina Faso to secure clear understanding from the country before landing. This could not only just jeopardize the lives of the personnel that were also on board with the aircraft. It's actually also going to create very uncertainty and insecurity within the sub-region. And
but
like it
Mr.
said,
Suraj, I hear you. Just
pressure.
A minute, because I wanted us to stay on the point of seeking approval, which under normal circumstances would be the right thing to do. But the military
an immediate response to secure the approval for the landing. That is number one. Number two, there should have also been communication between the aircraft and also the tower or the airport authority or the landing field authority before the landing could have taken place. So it is not placing the country in a good stand and also a position under this negotiation.
So I know that following the official exit from ECOWAS, there were issued guidelines on how this relationship would proceed going forward between ECOWAS and the alliance. And some of these guidelines include duty-free trade. There was on visa-free movement and residence as well. But what does it say about that mediation process? It looks like they have not been able to tie loose ends since January, when these countries withdrew from ECOWAS.
Well, the fact that they still agreed to sustain some of these earlier agreements with the other members of the sub-region is something to actually also not only just comment, but it would have to show some measure of also goodwill on the part of all the parties. It is not something that would be easy for even for them and the citizens of their country to be alienated from the sub-region, considering the relationship that has been built over time. But part of the threat to that will be this kind of a situation. And I would hope that neutral parties would be immediately also deployed beyond just the two concerned parties. I'm sure ECOWAS will be in a difficult position to mediate in this situation, but there must be between the two countries trusted allies that can broker understanding and peace that would not also just break down, those conversations that you're talking about with the breakaway of the AEC countries. The three of them are going to be extra sensitive, and not only to actions of countries like Nigeria, but also to reactions that they will be getting. And this is not one of the favorable ones for both sides.
And we've already seen very high political tension in the region. We've seen coups, we've seen attempted coups. Can this particular development revive the rift between the AES and maybe not even an ECOWAS, but not ECOWAS, but Nigeria in particular? Because we held the position of the chairmanship of the bloc, whilst all of that happened in Niger. Could this revive that rift? And what should we be doing now in terms of diplomatic relations?
Well, it is not just even just the position. Nigeria actually has been the core funding partner of the ECOWAS sub-region, regional community and body. And Nigeria has been playing critical role with that. Very sadly and unfortunately so as well is the fact that the Nigerian president has also visited France severally, been associated with the French president, and seen to almost be perceived and considered an ally of the French government, which the AEC countries sees as not only just threat, but the main opposition to their existence in their country and also to their regimes. So Nigeria is not only just considered under the auspice of his, chairmanship of ECOWAS, the secretariat of ECOWAS, the funding major partner for ECOWAS, but also now seen as, in quote, and I would be sure that would be part of the consideration and also discussion within them, as almost like the front for France in the sub-region, which is a threat to their existence. So Nigeria is also seen not only just as an ECOWAS chairman and whatever, but also seen as an appendage of France when it comes to this consideration.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. We'll follow that development and how the alliance will react. Larry Suraj, security expert, a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you very much for having me. You're welcome.
All right, we'll take a break now. When Ward now returns, we'll turn our attention. We'll bring an update from the region as well, and then we'll turn our attention to the Russia-Ukraine war and how that is impacting on the US-EU relations. Stay with us.